Hi, I'm Doreen Bolhuis, coordinator for the Spiritual Pathways, and today we're here with Cathy and Wayne Luman to talk about one of the inner pathways, which is Beyond the Broken Heart. It's a grief support group, and they're going to tell us a little bit about it. It will be starting December 4th, right?
December 5th.
December 5th, thank you.
We'll be going on Fridays starting at 10 a.m. And the the book that we're offering and working through will be by a gentleman named Alfred D. Wolfett. He's a PhD in CT, and I've read his material, and you can go to his website, and he, at a very young age, knew that this is what he wanted to do with his life. And he's written some absolutely wonderful material on how to help us to come to a place of facing our grief and then learning how to mourn with one another as we companion along this. It's not a place where I have the answers or necessarily he has the answers. It's touchstones that we all look at, and each person comes to that place of learning how to walk through their loss and their grief in their own way, but doing it together just adds so much to it and allows a person, I think, a real space to begin to heal and learn how to move forward. So, I've been in ministry for over 20 years and worked with a number of these groups, and it's probably just a very sacred space to work in, and just have learned so much and found my own inner healing through this. So just really glad that my wife and I can offer it, and it doesn't matter when the loss of a loved one happened, it is how have you dealt with that matters. Even things that have been retained for a long period of time and never dealt with are just there like a lump in your soul, sort of. And so this helps to unwind some of it maybe and teaches us how to find that hope and to move forward a little bit more. There's no quick fix, but there certainly is help and support together.
Well, and you made such an important point when we were talking earlier about this. It could be a loss from 20 years ago, and that we still carry that, especially if we haven't had opportunity to really work through it. And I'm guessing that in working through it, you gain a new freedom, so to speak. Not that it doesn't matter or it goes away, that's not true. But maybe to live a little more fully than you did before. I'm not sure how to describe it. You all probably could.
Yes, and I was sharing earlier, I think one of the things as facilitators, and we facilitate, it's everyone's group that attends. There are some guidelines to keep it a safe group for each person that comes in. But one of the beautiful things is when people come in, as you can imagine, they're feeling kind of broken. I think first of all, feeling it out, seeing if it's for them, and then they can open up and they see other people that are opening up in their pain, and then they can relate to them. And one of the wonderful things is over time you see relationships form, and people leaving after grief share after a few weeks or a month, and they go to lunch together. So the beauty is that learning to deal with the grief and walking through some of the feelings, understanding them, what's happening to them and why, and then doing it with others, not having to be alone in one's grief, because as we know, it can be a very lonely time. You lose a spouse, there's all things that are involved in that. Family relationships can change, couple relationships can change, so it can be an extremely lonely time. So it offers a place to be with others, and I think that's really important.
One thing that comes to mind as I'm listening to both of you talk about this is that in our culture, a lot of times people try to power through, right? And kind of set that grief aside. And there's admiration that they get from other people that, oh, you're so strong, you just, you're going on and you're doing this. And it may be that for the person that's doing that they say, I don't think I want to go back and deal with this because it's really painful, and I don't want that kind of pain. I don't want to invite it into my life. What would you say to a person who is in that situation? Is there value in doing this? And because it's not fun to face pain, right? None of us like that feeling. What would you say about it?
Well, in general, like you were saying, we live in a society that is a society that says get over it. We as a society have lost all of the ways we used to grieve together. We used to join together You know, the brothers and sisters would dig the grave, you know, there would be mourning, the widow would wear black, and you could identify a person in mourning. And today, not only that, you know, staunch, you know, self-made person who has everything and can do it and just muscle through it, what they're in a sense doing, you know, I believe what the work does is allow us to learn to honor the relationship in a deeper way, a place to really place it in our life and have it where it has real value to it. It's not part of our life that we have to close off. It's part of our life when integrated into our life, certainly makes us richer and fuller. And I believe that someone had mentioned this earlier too, I think it was Maureen said, that what she had to offer on the other side by working through everything she needed to was a whole person to offer back to those who needed her and she loved. And so I found that to be very insightful. So that's what I would say, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And you may have your own questions that we didn't cover here, but on the website under the Inner Pathways, you'll find the Beyond the Broken Heart Grief Support Group, and you'll also find a link to communicate on email with Wayne and Cathy, and they can answer any questions that you might have about how your unique situation might fit into this, and help you on your own grief journey. So thank you for being here. Go
Last
ahead.
thought, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone, and you don't have to be alone.
Thank you.